in. He did learn area codes for here and there, and talk about the stats.
Yeah, Armani, 60% win rate, had a really great start to this league. 38% precision, pretty low, but those account to these really tough NMPZ games he had where they were very hard rounds. 30-second guess time, pretty normal. I saw his NMPZ guess time was very low. I think one of the lowest I've seen. No surprise.
Yeah, and a bit higher win rate here on Zi8gzag's side. His precision is also way better. I've talked through it earlier where I said Armani didn't really get punished for his bad guesses, therefore you have that little precision but still a high win rate. And the average guess time here is 28 seconds for Zi8gzag.
Yeah, pretty similar in win rate and guess time, but the precision stat is a big big difference here. 20%. I mean, that is a lot. That means like every fifth guess is a big difference. But
definitely
you just need those guesses in the right, at the right time, and maybe that's just what Armani does.
Yeah, right time being set, you have to be more often correct later into the matches when the multipliers ramp up and the guesses actually do have more impact. But Zi8gzag also has like almost double the amount of games played in the Pro League compared to Armani, so maybe he's a bit more settled in. He has a little bit more experience playing in this environment, which can also be an advantage.
Yeah, Zi8gzag also a really great start to the league, it has to be said.
Yeah, and we start off
in Sweden.
Right here, Sweden.
The country of GeoGuessr.
The GeoGuessr country indeed. We have those dashed lines on the side. We have the red Google car. Again, those thin trees, which look very northern. Everything combined does give us the country. However, Sweden is a pretty rough country to region guess most of the times.
Yeah, but with moving, you can look for those bus stops, which are regional, and I think that's what both are trying to do. I really like that they both try to move, because maybe they both think in their head, wait, the other guy is not good at moving. Maybe I should move. Maybe both of them are thinking the same thing here, that they can, take an advantage here. But so far, none of them has found anything really helpful.
Especially after you moved a couple steps, most of the time you feel like, okay, there has to be a sign somewhere around the corner, and you move on, but yeah. Sweden is definitely one of those countries where you can move a lot on a couple of roads without finding anything too useful. You get a lot of town signs, but not really big cities on them.
Yeah, sometimes those towns have just a few residents, really. I mean, we drove through that town on Armani screen, which had like 5 houses, and that's what it is. So, not much to go off there.
Also, a lot of times, the town entry signs aren't even shown up on the map. That also happens a lot in Sweden, I've noticed. But yeah, we move on to the next round. We already see them zooming in Sucre. We don't really talk a lot about this round because it's very standard Bolivia with this architecture. Only a couple cities do have coverage in Bolivia.
Yeah.
Therefore, especially given with this landscape, it can only be Sucre or Potosi, I would say. Those cities can look alike.
Yeah, and I think people have really learned the difference between Sucre and Potosi because it's the only cities in the mountains, and they kind of looked around how it looks.
Yeah.
But it looks like we're back, maybe. Are we back in Sweden?
So far, I would agree.
And Armani has found out.
Especially on this road, we have the confirmation again with the dashed lines. Couple red houses, also common in Sweden or in the Nordics in general. And we have a bus stop here. It is the bus stop north of Stockholm, I think.
Ooh,
was
Uppsala.
No, even further north.
Oh,
I forgot
Gävleborg.
what the... Yeah, Gävleborg.
Okay, maybe Gävleborg.
I think it's Gävleborg County bus stops, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Zi8gzag is really thinking. He's in his head like, okay, I have a bus stop. Where was this again?
I did learn them for World Cup 23, so I think, if I still remember correctly. Yes, it was Gävleborg. Just out of Sundsvall. Yeah, it was the furthest north it could have been in Gävleborg. It's like right south of Sundsvall. you have the border to Western Holland County.
Yeah, obviously the movement is a bit more restricted now. I don't think we have mentioned it so far, but fast moving is disabled now to make it more fair for the people playing from further away from Australia, because this would have been a very big advantage for Armani here if he could just, you know, zoom.
Definitely, especially in moving games, the hardware and the internet connection both plays a big factor. So I actually like that. I like that. So you have a very fair setting for both players, and we start off with a good sign right immediately at spawn. We are in Romania with this language.
Yeah, Târgu Mureș, big city there. But it's in two directions, which is interesting. If you go left and semi-left, you both end up in that city. Interesting.
Yeah, with that, Kevin, I can't find any of the other towns on the map so far.
Does it maybe mean that we are in a suburb
Saying
of
Miesture Suit, so...
Brasov, maybe.
Yep. Zigzag guessing downtown.
Armani shaking his head.
Armani
He's like, there's no way he just guessed downtown.
Well,
you know, if it works, it works.
Yeah, I don't know, especially if you have the sign on spawn, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to put the pressure down, because your opponent will have that information as well. But yeah, nothing really happened there, and we move on to the next round.
Yeah, we are getting rounds with not a lot of info here.
Yeah, we are in an urban environment, but still, the United Kingdom as well, with the yellow rear license plates, white front plates.
There is a sign there, didn't look very helpful, at least for him, because it didn't immediately zoom on the map, and that's usually an indicator.
Yeah. A bit further south, Zigzag actually went pretty far north there. And Armani picks up more points, Zigzag on almost half HP now, whereas Armani is still pretty healthy.
Yeah, he just guessed really good, even when there was no information available. So, so far pretty well played by him.
Yeah, and that's pretty much, as I said, it's his strategy. I think he feels like practicing for moving doesn't pay off that much, given how much time you have to put into it. If you are a very good moving, no-move player, you can still perform well on moving.
I mean, both should notice Nizam is Oriental. It is where Armani is. Zigzag is very far away from... Okay, now we remembered.
Nizam is Oriental, Oriental is Western, and they both get the city. Zigzag just right outside it. Last second switch, more or less.
That was a bit scary there, because he was definitely in his head thinking, where was that again?
Oh, okay. I saw Armani's screen, so I didn't know if Zigzag had the exact same information.
Yeah, they did. Both had a, you know, province name and town name, but on different signs. But in Philippines, it's very abundant.
Yep.
And moving on to abundant information.
Here we
It
are.
seems like there would be information somewhere here.
Definitely. We have a
state
state
flag?
flag as well, if you know them. We are somewhere in the western part of the United States with this landscape. You should never get this landscape anywhere in the eastern half.
Eureka County, isn't that a big town? Isn't there...
Eureka is a big town.
Isn't that in Oregon or something?
I am not sure.
or
I could
Idaho.
find it on the map, but...
If I had a map, I would find it. Copium.
Copium.
But it says Eureka County. We don't know whether that belongs to the city. But yeah, we will see where they both will guess. I thought it was a very big town. Like Oregon, Washington, or Idaho. So let's see. It was
Nevada.
maybe big town. We can't zoom in, sadly.
It was Eureka. It shows up pretty early as well.
Okay.
If you know.
Turning the game around pretty much in one guess. And maybe he found a license plate, and now we are actually in Australia, and Zigzag is in the game. Can he insta-guess? It says Blackwater. Does he know this town?
I mean, he immediately guessed somewhere in the northeast. Around Cairns. That's probably his vibe for now, and now he looks for more information to confirm it.
There's a lot of signs here. There has to be one sign that says the town name.
Yep.
Can somebody find something good?
Yeah, they have both a lot of signs on their screens. However, they went different directions. And we have a guess
Emerald
down, so Zigzag should be in the right town, unless that sign is lying. Unless both signs are lying, which I don't believe. Armani's still looking around, still looking for info. Guess just outside Brisbane, which is a decent reading guess. However, he didn't get to the right information. And just with those 2 rounds, Zigzag can turn around the game, locking in that first win.
Yeah, pretty favorable round there at the end. You know, he zoomed in instantly. Maybe he has heard of Blackwater before. It looked like a town that shows up early enough for Australia standards, especially in those rural regions in Queensland, where you maybe know more towns than in other regions, just because they are so far away from each other.
Yeah, definitely Queensland, one of the places where you don't have too many cities, especially if it goes further inland. So everything is scannable, I would say, if you have the information.
But we move on to no move, and yeah, Armani needs this win here, or he is done for this matchup.
You are correct, and Ziggy, you did practice some Thailand. Do you have a region guess? Because this should be Thailand with the poles.
Yeah, I really like Zigzag's guess, maybe a bit more west with these plantations. Lopburi, Nakhon Sawan are usually the regions with these random mountains and these tea plantations. Yeah. I really like Zigzag's guess.
On both sides or all around, therefore. This makes sense, however, it's Thailand.
Okay.
It's the end of the day. A very, very, very hard country to region guess. Especially in the central part, I would say.
Yeah, the central part has mountains pretty much everywhere. Usually you can maybe use some crops to guess. This looks very, very cool, I have to say real quick.
Yeah.
I thought this was like max north Argentina. And the sun is north. Ooh, and we have a... Does Bolivia have a road like this? I have never seen a road.
See, that's the problem. The landscape looks Bolivian. However, I have never seen this road in Bolivia. And Bolivia, as I've already mentioned earlier, doesn't have too much coverage. It's only a couple main roads. So therefore, at some point, you just know how all of them look like. However, Armani is still sure it is Bolivia. And Zigzag is indeed in Argentina.
Yeah, I thought it was very far north and just a bit to the east in the mountains. Let's see. And that's exactly where it is. I mean, maybe I've seen that road before, but that seemed very familiar to me.
And Armani is closer geographically.
Casters can be right, you know, sometimes we're not washed.
No.
Free round, guys. Come on, lock in.
Absolutely. And we have this blue exposed front of the car, which you see in Quintana Roo, and especially given this landscape with all these palms. You also see it in Chiapas and a couple more states now in Mexico. But combined with the looks, I think Quintana Roo does make the most sense.
Yeah, it's a very sharp angle, which doesn't appear too often in Quintana Roo, so maybe it is where Armani is right now. I really like the Quintana Roo, though.
Yeah.
Especially if it's 2024 copyright.
Heard.
That's where you usually get the exposed blue car in that Yucatan Peninsula. But yeah, I kind of like Zigzag's guess, but they're so far away from each other.
They are away from each other, especially with the amount of palms. I mean, you can get it along the coast, but I feel like, especially in Quintana Roo, it's way more common. But we will find out in a second.
And it is Quintana Roo.
Right on the label. That's a good amount of points for round 3 standards, and Zigzag is getting a good lead here.
Yeah, no more mistakes allowed.
New Zealand.
Yeah, it's gonna be very hard to guess for me.
Is it new coverage as well? It looks new. I don't know.
It looks
Doesn't
new.
strike me as something that I've seen before.
It's very hard for me to guess on somebody's other screen if he's not looking at the car color and the copyright. But I really like the northern part of the South Island. Unless, you know, it's something else.
Yeah, especially rounds like this are very hard to region guess in New Zealand, and those are especially the rounds where you can make good usage of the Google car, of the copyright, where you can rule in or rule out certain areas of a country.
Yeah, because if it is white car, this could be North Island then. This could be the middle of the North Island. But if it is any other car color, it should just be the north part of the South Island, but we will see where it is. Both of them in a similar place though. It was white car then, as I said, just the middle of the North Island.
With that given...
If it was white car, gettable, but only if you know pretty much every road in the South Island. Because that's usually how you go with New Zealand. You either know the road and it's South Island, or you're somewhere in the North Island and you don't know it.
Does make a lot of sense. That approach is commonly used to learn New Zealand, another country where you don't have too much coverage. I mean, nowadays you do, but
in the South Island it's still
the
pretty
South
limited.
Island is very learnable. However, on this round we are in Indonesia, I feel like. Both trying to
tiled roofs.
You try to use buildings or roofs, especially in Indonesia, to make a region guess. If it's tiled, it's Java most of the times, especially with asymmetrical poles. You are either in East Java or in Lampung if you have tiled roofs. So let's see, we have an East Java guess, but it was just Yogyakarta.
That makes sense, you know.
Has a bit of everything. Yeah, weird poles.
And, you know, very built up actually. You have very nice houses in that area. It's usually a bit more, you know, rich, I would say. Just the houses look pretty nice. That's a matter. But if you're downtown, it's pretty hard to say whether that is just, you know, the downtown area, which is, you know, financed by the government, or if it's actually just nice houses. Yeah,
always hard to tell what the case is. But we have the yellow plates on the poles here. Commonly found in Hokkaido.
And
but
Armani found a nice lineup.
Pretty big, so yeah, what you can do is find a grid that lines up in the cities in Hokkaido. It looks like we are in a somewhat bigger city, so... But there's still a couple in Hokkaido.
Yeah,
it's bigger than you expect, and Armani has a 436 meter guess, being in the right city there. Getting good points down, maybe good to get some confidence in as well, because we are getting towards the end of this match and he has to turn this around if he wants to win.
And I'm pretty sure he wants to win. I mean, considering he just lined up a random city in Hokkaido. But this just looks like a very standard round. Armani can't really win here, but he could lose if Zigzag tries something a bit fancier, like east of Joburg. I kind of like that. Yeah.
I also like a Johannesburg guess here. It should be South Africa with the poles with the car. That's how the players know it. And Zigzag is very close, and that's enough to win. Getting another 3 points in Zigzag with the 0.
Yeah, I mean, Zigzag is going to be happy. We as viewers, I mean, we